The sword strip duel looks like pure Hollywood magic. The garments were rigged with hidden wires and pre-cut seams pulled by crew on cue. The film spent 6 years with 3 directors. These are 20 hidden details you completely missed in The Mask of Zorro. Number 20. Every scene with Zorro and Tornado presents the horse as a black Andalusian, and that exact description appears in the dialogue. The horse on screen is plainly a Friesian stallion. Friesians have distinctively feathered fetlocks and a heavier build that Andalusians simply do not have. Look at Tornado's lower legs in any full-body shot, and the thick feathering is visible in every frame. The production used approximately 11 different horses across chase and stunt sequences without audiences noticing any of the substitutions. This breed mismatch is visible every time Tornado appears on screen, and it has been hiding there since 1998. And the film's next hidden detail is hiding inside something viewers hear rather than something they see. Number 19. Viewers watching Alejandro confront Captain Love expect to see Zorro's signature carved into the villain, continuing the legend. Alejandro carves an M for Murrieta, not the Zorro Z. This marks his personal identity and unfinished grief before he has fully claimed the Zorro mantle from mentor Don Diego de la Vega. Pause on the moment immediately after the confrontation, and the letter is readable on screen. The moment most audiences remember as a Zorro signature is actually Alejandro refusing to be Zorro at that point in his arc. Director Martin Campbell made this a deliberate story beat, not an oversight. And the very next sound you hear during any sword clash in the film carries its own hidden production secret. Number 18. Every sword-on-sword clash in the film sounds crisp, metallic, and precisely weighted to the action on screen. The blades used during filming were aluminum prop swords chosen specifically for safety. On contact, those aluminum blades produced a dull, flat clink that was completely unusable. Watch any fight sequence and notice that every strike sounds slightly cleaner than a real metal impact, because every sword clash sound was added entirely in post-production. According to production notes, the sound designers rebuilt the entire sonic language of every duel from scratch. This work earned the film an Academy Award nomination for Best Sound Effects Editing. The costumes visible in those same fight sequences are hiding a story just as deliberate as the sound design. Number 17. Both Diego Zorro and Alejandro Zorro wear the classic black cape, hat, and mask, which most viewers read as the same costume passed between generations. Costume designer Graciela Mazon built 2 visually distinct versions on purpose. Diego's costume reflects his Spanish aristocratic heritage with tighter, more formal tailoring. Alejandro's is cut looser with vaquero-influenced detailing to reflect his Mexican identity. Look at the silhouette and fabric texture of each Zorro costume when they appear in close succession on screen. The differences are in the construction, not just the fit. Mazon's decision transformed a wardrobe handoff into a visual argument about who each man actually is. The next reveal involves an actor who almost never wore any version of that costume at all. Number 16. Anthony Hopkins as Don Diego de la Vega looks like the first and obvious choice for the role. He was not remotely close to the first choice. Actor Raul Julia was under serious consideration for the role of Diego across the project's early years. Julia died in 1994 before the film moved forward. Before Hopkins was cast, Sean Connery had been officially attached, filmed test footage, and then exited the production entirely. Look at Hopkins in his first cave scene and notice the physical deliberateness of every movement, because he had only weeks to prepare. According to casting documentation compiled over the film's 6-year development, Hopkins was the 4th major option for this single role, and his timeline only gets more urgent from there. Number 15. Hopkins as Diego looks like someone who had months to settle into the material. He was cast in December 1996, exactly 1 month before principal photography began on January 27, 1997. After Connery exited, producers needed a replacement immediately. Hopkins had been dealing with severe back pain while completing another film and underwent a procedure before he could physically accept the part. Watch Hopkins in the bullwhip sequences and notice the commitment of every movement, because that precision was built under a 1-month clock. Every scene Hopkins delivers with total authority was constructed under enormous time pressure after his predecessor had already walked away. The actress cast opposite him had an equally unexpected path to this film, and it started with a Sunday night television program. Number 14. Catherine Zeta-Jones as Elena is one of the most celebrated action introductions of the late 1990s. Director Martin Campbell had originally favored actress Isabella Scorupco, whom he had just directed in GoldenEye, for the role. Producer Steven Spielberg saw Zeta-Jones in the 1996 CBS Titanic miniseries on a Sunday night and personally recommended her to Campbell. As Zeta-Jones later told Drew Barrymore in an interview, Spielberg called the following week, "Look at Elena's first full scene and notice the physical deliberateness of her posture and movement," because she had already begun training before casting was fully confirmed. The film's 2-month intensive fight preparation was only made possible by Spielberg's Sunday night television habit, and the training that followed was unlike anything in the film's visible budget. Number 13. The climactic gold mine explosion looks too elaborate to be a practical set, and most viewers assume the vast interior and the fireball were digital effects. Campbell stated in his DVD commentary that the mine interior was a fully built physical set constructed in Mexico, and that he found it quietly frustrating that audiences assumed otherwise. Look at the mine sequence and notice the weight and shadow consistency of every surface, because the structural columns, the machinery, and the gold all cast real shadows from real physical objects. According to Campbell's commentary, no significant CGI was used in the climax. The film's biggest action moment is also its most practically ambitious achievement. The training sequence inside a very different cave carries a secret of its own. Number 12. The training sequence in which Hopkins stands on Banderas's back while he does push-ups over burning candles is one of the film's most memorable original images. Campbell confirmed in his DVD commentary that the shot was directly inspired by Jackie Chan's snake in The Eagle's Shadow from 1978. It is a deliberate lift, not a coincidental similarity. Look at the camera angle and framing of that specific moment and compare it to the 1978 Hong Kong production, because the composition mirrors it almost exactly. The most beloved Western swashbuckler of the late 1990s borrowed its central training image from a kung fu film made 20 years earlier, and the barn sequence that follows contains a secret about its own construction that changes how the whole scene reads. Number 11. The barn duel in which Alejandro progressively disrobes Elena with his sword is one of the most iconic sequences in 1990s cinema. Banderas's blade never made contact with the fabric. The garments were pre-cut with hidden seams and rigged to wires operated by crew members off-camera on cue. Watch the moment each piece gives way and notice that the separation always happens slightly after the blade motion, not simultaneously with it. The production designed the entire sequence in reverse, because the crew decided exactly which piece fell at which moment, and the actors built their choreography around those preset cues. According to accounts confirmed by both lead actors, the sequence was constructed entirely from the outside in. The budget chaos surrounding the production is equally engineered. Number 10. Robert Rodriguez signed on to the Mask of Zorro in September 1995, fresh from Desperado, with Banderas already attached as the lead. Rodriguez was forced out in June 1996 after TriStar and Amblin capped the budget at $41 million and rejected elements of his creative approach. The film eventually cost between $60 million and $95 million, depending on how overruns and accumulated interest are counted. Look at the finished film's practical ambition, because approximately 11 horses, a fully built mine set, and months of location shooting across multiple Mexican states were all executed under the director who replaced him. According to production reporting on the departure, the disagreement was specifically about the budget ceiling, and the director who replaced Rodriguez gave up a major franchise to take the job. Number 9. Campbell is best known for rebooting the Bond franchise with GoldenEye in 1995 and again with Casino Royale in 2006. When he was offered the Mask of Zorro in June 1996, he turned down the chance to direct Tomorrow Never Dies to take it. He chose a practical swashbuckler over one of the most commercially guaranteed franchises in cinema history. Watch Campbell's approach to Zorro's action sequences, because the physical scale and emphasis on weight and presence over fast cutting all reflect Bond-caliber filmmaking inside a 19th century setting. According to production reporting from the summer of 1996, Campbell made the decision quickly after reading the material. The production he was about to lead had already quietly lost a major character no audience member ever knew existed. Number 8. The final theatrical film presents Don Rafael Montero as the primary antagonist, with Captain Love as his subordinate, and the hierarchy reads as complete. Actor Joaquim de Almeida filmed the role of General Antonio López de Santa Anna throughout principal photography. The character appeared multiple times and connected the personal story to the broader historical seizure of California. Look at scenes inside the Montero hacienda and notice that the staging occasionally feels oversized for the number of speaking characters, because those sets were designed around a figure who was later cut. According to deleted scenes preserved on home video releases, the Santa Anna subplot was substantial. Every political conversation in the film was built to include a presence that vanishes entirely in the version audiences saw. Number 7. While The Mask of Zorro was in production in 1997, Spielberg was simultaneously helping launch DreamWorks and watching Hollywood shift rapidly toward computer-generated filmmaking. Spielberg told Banderas directly on set that this film would be one of the last westerns made entirely with practical action, with no computer-generated horses, digital stunts, or augmented environments. According to Banderas in a 2023 interview with Variety on the film's 25th anniversary, the words were delivered matter-of-factly on a working day. Look at the entire film through that lens because every horse, explosion, sword technique, and physical environment was real. Spielberg's production team was watching it happen while already knowing this mode of filmmaking was ending. The warning has proven accurate in every way. Number 6. The shot where Zorro faces Captain Love and catches the sun on his blade without breaking eye contact is one of the film's most visually striking images. That glint was not a lighting effect or a digital addition. Banderas tilted the blade himself to catch the natural Mexican sun at exactly the right angle and held it while maintaining his gaze on actor Matt Letcher opposite him. Watch his hand position and wrist angle in that moment, because there is a micro adjustment just before the light catches the steel. According to 25th anniversary production accounts, the shot took 3 attempts and was entirely practical. This is the kind of precision that defines what separates this film from the action cinema that followed it after 1998. Number 5. The final scenes, including the wedding and Alejandro narrating the legend to his son, feel like a natural conclusion to the story. These scenes were filmed approximately 3 months after principal photography ended. Spielberg and Campbell decided that the original ending in which Diego's death closed the film without the epilogue was too downbeat for the experience they had made. Look at the final sequence's lighting and compare its color temperature to the rest of the film, because the late afternoon quality and costume aging are slightly different from everything preceding it. According to production reporting and DVD commentary accounts, the reshoot added the resolution that now defines how audiences remember the film. The story of how the lead actress was cast is just as accidental as this ending. Number 4. The casting of Zeta-Jones as Elena seems perfectly matched in retrospect. Spielberg saw her in the 1996 CBS Titanic miniseries on a Sunday night and recommended her to Campbell, who had originally favored another actress. That recommendation changed everything for Zeta-Jones. Look at Elena's first full entrance and notice how the camera treats her as a lead from the very first frame, because the lighting and staging were calibrated before producers had confirmed the casting. According to Zeta-Jones in a published interview with Drew Barrymore, the call came the week after Spielberg made his recommendation. One of the most celebrated action debuts of the late 1990s started with a television remote. One visual image from this film was also almost first seen in a completely different blockbuster. Number 3. In the finished film, Montero arrives on shore with his troops in a period-appropriate and functional staging. Screenwriters Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio originally scripted Montero arriving standing on a horse, which itself stood on a boat. The image was cut before filming for budget reasons. When Elliott and Rossio reunited on Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest in 2006, they placed Lord Cutler Beckett arriving on shore in the exact same visual composition that had been refused for this film 7 years earlier. According to published production accounts from both writers, this was a deliberate recovery of the image. Watch Beckett's arrival in Dead Man's Chest, and you are watching the visual that was too expensive to shoot for the film you are currently rewatching. Number 2. The sword fighting in the film looks like the work of professional fencers because every parry, bind, and extension has structural correctness. Swordmaster Bob Anderson, who had personally trained Errol Flynn and later choreographed Lord of the Rings battle sequences, put Banderas, Hopkins, and Zeta-Jones through approximately 10 hours of training per day for 2 months during pre-production. Before that official period began, Banderas had already trained for 4 months with Spain's Olympic fencing team using competitive steel-weight weapons. Watch Banderas in the opening scenes before the training montage and notice that his grip, elbow position, and footwork are already technically correct before Diego has taught him anything. According to production accounts, Anderson said Banderas was the most naturally gifted sword talent he had ever trained. Number 1. The Mask of Zorro looks like a smooth Hollywood production assembled around perfectly matched stars. Between 1992 and 1997, the project cycled through director Mikhail Salomon, then Rodriguez, then Campbell. Raul Julia died before Diego was cast. Connery tested and walked. Hopkins was locked in 1 month before cameras rolled. The original ending was replaced by a reshoot 3 months after the production officially wrapped. According to casting and development documentation compiled across 6 years of press coverage, the film went through 4 major candidates for the role of Diego alone. Watch the opening minutes and notice how controlled the tone and visual language feel. That confidence was assembled under 6 years of chaos, constant replacement, and a budget that climbed from $41 million to nearly $95 million. The Mask of Zorro looks like a confident, perfectly assembled action classic. But beneath every iconic moment sits a replacement director, a reshot ending, a blade that never touched fabric, and a cast built under 6 years of chaos. Every scene rewards a second look. Which hidden detail surprised you most? And what films should we open next?